I never thought the moment of death would come so suddenly. One minute, I was lying in a hospital bed, surrounded by my family, their hands clutching mine as they whispered prayers. The next, I was floating above them, watching my own lifeless body fade into stillness. It wasn't frightening, it was strange, almost peaceful. But before I could make sense of what was happening, a light appeared. It wasn't just a light, it was alive, pulsing with warmth, love, and something far greater than anything I had ever experienced. And in that moment, I knew everything I believed about life and death was about to be tested. What came next was more real than anything I'd known. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning of an extraordinary journey. As my body lay still, I found myself rising, weightless and free. Below me, I could see my lifeless form on the hospital bed. My family wept, their grief palpable, but I was no longer bound by the pain or limitations of the body I had left behind. I wanted to reach out to them, to reassure them that I was still here, but an irresistible force was calling me elsewhere. A tunnel of light appeared before me, brighter than any earthly light, and I felt myself being drawn toward it. It wasn't harsh or blinding. It was warm, inviting, and alive. I recognized it from the scriptures, the light of God, the radiance of His love. As I moved closer, the worries and sorrows of my earthly life seemed to dissolve. In their place was a profound sense of peace. When I emerged from the tunnel, I found myself standing in a vast, luminous expanse. Everything was bathed in light, yet I could see clearly. Before me was the throne of God, surrounded by a brilliance I cannot describe. My spirit trembled, not from fear, but from the overwhelming majesty of His presence. The book of Revelation came to mind. Then I saw a great white throne and Him who was seated on it. The earth and the heavens fled from His presence, and there was no place for them. Revelation 20:11. Now I was here, standing before that throne, completely exposed. As I stood in His presence, I felt a love so immense it brought me to my knees. This was no courtroom, no harsh judgment. Instead, it was an unveiling, a review of my life, not as I had seen it, but as God had seen it. One by one, moments from my life unfolded before me. I saw myself as a child, laughing with my siblings, holding my mother's hand as she led me to church. I felt the love and care she had poured into me, the prayers she had whispered for my soul. I saw my teenage years, the reckless choices, the times I had hurt others with my words or actions. I felt their pain as though it were my own. It wasn't condemnation, but a deep understanding of how my actions had rippled outward, touching lives in ways I had never realized. Then came the moments of grace, the times I had followed Christ's teachings. I saw myself comforting a friend in need, sharing a meal with a stranger, forgiving a long-held grudge. These moments shone brightly, filling me with warmth and gratitude. But there were also missed opportunities. I saw the times I had walked past someone who needed help, too caught up in my own concerns to stop. I saw the harsh words I had spoken to my wife in anger, the times I had turned away from God in doubt. Each of these moments weighed heavily on me, but as I looked toward Him, I felt His forgiveness envelop me. In the midst of this review, I felt a presence by my side, Jesus. He didn't speak, but His love and understanding were palpable. I remembered His words from the Gospel of John, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." John 14:6. As He stood beside me, I felt the depth of His sacrifice. The wounds on His hands and feet were a testament to the price He had paid for my redemption. His love was overwhelming, and I realized that every moment of my life had been covered by His grace. My failings were not the end. They were opportunities for His mercy to shine. Next came a moment I had read about in the Gospel of Matthew, but never fully understood until now. I was shown how my life aligned with Jesus' parable of the sheep and the goats. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. Whatever you did for me to drink, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Every act of kindness I had performed was brought to light, not to glorify me, but to show how God had worked through me to touch others. But there were also moments when I had failed to act. I saw the face of a homeless man I had ignored, the lonely neighbor I had never visited. These missed opportunities grieved me deeply, but Jesus' presence reminded me that even my shortcomings were part of His greater plan. Finally, I saw an angel approach with a book, the Lamb's Book of Life. My heart pounded as I watched him open it. I remembered the words from Revelation. Anyone whose name was not found written in the book of life was thrown into the lake of fire, Revelation 20:15. But there it was, my name written in the book. Tears streamed from my spirit as I realized the enormity of His grace. It wasn't my deeds that had earned me a place here. It was His love, His sacrifice, and His mercy. As the review ended, I felt a hand gently guide me forward. The gates of heaven appeared before me, more magnificent than anything I could have imagined. Beyond them, I sensed a realm of indescribable beauty and peace, a place where every tear is wiped away and every longing is fulfilled. I heard His voice once more, tender and full of love. Well done, good and faithful servant. Come and share your master's happiness. Matthew 25:21. With those words, I stepped through the gates into the presence of God. Now, in this eternal realm, I see everything clearly. Life was not a series of random events. It was a carefully woven tapestry, each thread placed by God's hand. Every choice, every relationship, every moment of faith mattered. The truth is, simple yet profound. Life is about love. Loving God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and loving others as yourself. Everything else fades away, but love endures forever. If I could speak to those who are still walking this earthly journey, I would plead with you to truly see the profound gift that life is. Every moment, whether filled with joy or sorrow, ease or struggle, is an opportunity to grow closer to God and to fulfill the purpose for which you were created. Life is not a series of random events, but a sacred narrative, carefully crafted by the one who loves you beyond measure. Take time to cherish the beauty in the ordinary, the laughter of a loved one, the stillness of a sunrise, the kindness of a stranger. These are not trivial moments, but glimpses of God's grace woven into your everyday life. Do not rush past them. Instead, let them remind you of the infinite love that holds the world together. Live with love as your guide. Love, as Christ taught, is the greatest commandment, the cornerstone of all that is good. It is in loving others selflessly that we fulfill God's will. Love is not always easy. It requires patience, humility, and courage. But each act of love, no matter how small, echoes in eternity. Smile at the stranger, forgive the unforgivable, and speak words that heal instead of harm. These are the treasures that will endure when all else fades. To those burdened by guilt, regret, or fear, know this: there is no sin too great, no failure too deep that God's mercy cannot reach. His forgiveness is not something you must earn. It's a gift freely given to those who ask with a sincere heart. Turn to Him with all your brokenness, and you will find not judgment, but an unshakable love that redeems and restores. His grace is the anchor in the storm, the light in the darkness, and the promise that your story is not over. Do not fear death. It is not the end, but the beginning of the most extraordinary journey, a journey into the eternal embrace of your Creator. As you step from this life into the next, you will stand before Him, not as a stranger, but as a beloved child. There, in His presence, you will see your life as He sees it, with all its beauty, struggles, and imperfections. You will understand that even in your darkest moments, He was there, weaving redemption into your story. Let me share a truth that was revealed to me in that timeless moment. Life is not about perfection. It is about transformation. Each mistake, each failure is an opportunity for grace to shine. What matters is not how often you fall, but how often you rise again, holding on to His hand. Live with eternity in your heart. Forgive those who have wronged you, not because they deserve it, but because forgiveness frees your soul. Offer kindness, not because you will be repaid, but because kindness is a reflection of God's love. Be present for the ones you love, not in grand gestures, but in the small, quiet moments that build a lifetime. When your time comes, as it surely will, trust in His promises. The path beyond this life is not one of fear, but one of light. You will walk through the valley of death, not alone, but guided by the one who conquered it. And as you step into His presence, you will find a peace and a joy so profound that every tear, every struggle will fade into a distant memory. So, my message to you is simple. Live with purpose. Love with abandon. Trust in God's unfailing grace. For this life is but the prologue to an eternal story, one written by the author of all creation. And when the final chapter begins, you will find that it is not an end, but a glorious new beginning in His eternal presence.